Hey guys, thanks for being here. We really appreciate all of you. It's been such a cool experience what we do and to have really cool guests in here. Hey, I'm Joe.
I'm Connor.
And I'm Lorena.
Today we've got Jorden Halvorsen with us. Jorden, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So first of all, we got a lot to talk about with Jorden here. She is a bull rider, and you guys are going to hear her entire story in just a minute. But first, we want to thank American Hat Company and Joby's Hats. Without those guys, we wouldn't be doing this, and we wouldn't have these opportunities. So we really appreciate all of their support. And so if you need a hat, hopefully it's an American. And Joby's Hats will take care of you.
You forgot to introduce Star.
Star. Okay, tell us. So Star is here with us tonight. Tell us about Star.
So, Star is a 10-year-old golden retriever. I've had her since she was like 2 months old. I got her when I was working on a ranch in Wyoming.
Okay.
I worked on a dude ranch out there for a little bit, and I got Star, and we haven't been separated for very long amounts of time since then.
Well, Connor has said he's got his own fidget toy right now because you don't have to worry about him messing with microphones. He is dog petting all night, and she is loving it. It looks like.
Oh yeah, I mean that's her thing. Like
There you
she's got to be pet. Like
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it is the first animal we've had on the show, and so welcome, Star.
Hopefully not the last.
I wish you knew how to speak on command, but you don't. So
Yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to have dogs in here. That'd probably get us
It's
in
fine.
trouble,
It's okay.
so I don't know.
right?
What they don't know won't hurt you.
That's true. That's 100% true. We're just not going to tell them about it. So, Jorden, you're a female bull rider. You were on the Netflix series How to Be a Cowboy. You work at Dale Brisby's Rodeo Time,
Mhm.
and tell us a little bit about that. What's going on there?
Like at Rodeo Time?
Yeah, well, let's just say let's get into your whole background. So, where did you come from, and how did you get there? So, where were you born? Where did you live before Texas?
So both my parents were in the military, so I was born in Florida, but we quickly moved to North Carolina, and that's where I grew up, was
Okay.
in North Carolina. And so when I was younger, I had a best friend that, when you're 6 or 7, you kind of do everything together.
Absolutely.
Well, she started off doing figure skating, so I had to figure skate, and I did that, and then she started riding horses, and I was like, obviously, I got to ride horses. So it started off with horses. Like that's kind of where everything started. I did the horse thing. She fell out of horses, and I just kept with it. I was like, nope, this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to do the horseback riding, especially like where I grew up in North Carolina, like the English riding is just very big. Like the East Coast, that's kind of what they're known for.
Right.
I feel like is their English style of riding. And so I grew up riding hunter jumper horses and did that for a long time. And then eventually got on a bull, was working for a trainer because it's expensive and, it's hard to afford things. And
Well, I assumed you didn't kind of just as an 8-year-old girl say, "Yep, think I want to be a bull rider."
yeah, I didn't want to do that, but I got my first pony when I was 9, and
Okay.
it was an unbroke 2-year-old. And I lived in a house. My parents ended up moving to a house where we could have the horses in our backyard. And they bought me this unbroke 2-year-old pony. And they kind of just said, if you want to ride him, you'll figure it out.
Wow.
So I was
Whoa.
taking these riding lessons with, my instructor, Emma. That's who it was growing up. And then I had this pony who he was kind of a bronc, but he wasn't. Like he was gentle, but like he would still dust me every now and then. And
Okay.
so I did everything with this pony, like some really dangerous stuff because my parents, nobody in my family came from any kind of rodeo horse background. Like they put me into lessons and they started doing that. And then they decided that they were going to buy me this pony. And I mean, talk about some wild things I did. Like, those like little radio flyer wagons.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's this movie called The Pit Pony, And like you hear about the girls in your class that are the weird horse girls. That was
Yep.
me. So I watched this movie called The Pit Pony. It's about a cart mining pony. Well, I had to have a cart mining pony, so I done like tied some lead ropes around my pony's neck and then attached them to the front of my wagon, and I would sit on my helmet. I had a helmet, sat on the helmet,
That on the helmet, of course.
and I would drive him around with this wagon just attached to him, and it would run into the back of his legs and like,
So you were in the wagon.
yeah, I was sitting on my helmet, carting him around,
Wow.
and we were, but like I just did wild stuff like that. So I mean, it was kind of no wonder that I would end up in something of the realm of bull riding as I got older. But when I was a kid, I didn't want to. I mean, that wasn't anything I had even thought about. But boy, did I do some wild things with a pony.
So how old were you, I guess, when you decided maybe bull riding? What was that in your mind then? You just say, oh, that's pretty cool. I bet I could do that.
It wasn't quite like that. So horseback riding, so like the style of horseback riding I did in the hunter jumper is really expensive. And my parents got divorced, money kind of was starting to get tight, and
Right.
I wanted a horse show, but I couldn't afford it. And so I ended up working for a trainer that like if she had naughty horses and ponies of clients of her own, like I would be able to put miles on those horses and be able to show them. And then I would work in her barn cleaning stalls and stuff like that to pay for my lessons with her. And so I was doing that, and she ended up dating a bull rider. So this bull rider guy started showing up at our barn all the time, and I was like, he eventually kind of just asked us if we wanted to go with him, and he was like, what do you think about riding a bull? And I was like, why would we do that?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, how many people do you know have ridden a bull? At least, and I was like, well, only you. And he was like, well, you could just do it and mark it off your bucket list. I was like, well, I'm already getting bucked off these horses and ponies. Like, I'm willing to try it, and so we just went, and I fell off right out the gate, and I was in love, and like I just kept going back weekend and weekend after that.
So got on a bull, you fell right off.
Yeah, it was like one turn
One
and off.
How long did it take before you were able to stay on for 8 seconds?
Well, the bulls that I was getting on in the very beginning, it didn't take super long because they
Okay.
weren't, even the bull that bucked me off that first time really didn't do that much. I just didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And so the people, like I started at Shady Acres in Hope Mills, North Carolina, and they were really good about just not throwing me on something. They like really catered to beginers out there. Like,
Right. So you
that's
didn't
kinda-
get something just really nasty.
No.
right
Like
off
I
the
think the bull that I got on the very first time, his name was Snowball.
Snowball.
He was a white.
There you go.
He was a Charolais bull, like
Yeah.
just a beef bull, like super perfect for just this random girl that wants to come get on a bull. Super good for beginners. Like that, they really cater to that. Like they never in the beginning push me too hard. Like I actually pushed myself harder than I probably should have, and which led to injuries. But yeah, I could ride those. Snowball, Cream Puff, and White Lightning. That's
They have the best names.
There you go.
Snowball ended up becoming like one of my children. Like I loved him.
Right. So he was pretty gentle when you're not sitting on the back.
Well, you could just ride him around too.
Really?
Like yeah, you could go out there and just jump on him and just ride him. Like if you were gathering the bulls like to buck, yeah, you could just go out there and just jump on him and just ride him into the herd and ride him. He was so cool.
So didn't fall off of him too many times then.
I mean, he still would get me.
Yeah?
He would still get me, but
All right.
every now and then.
So how long did you ride bulls until you came to Texas? Were you kind of what happened between getting on your first bull and getting to Texas?
Yeah, so I rode my first bull in 2012, and
Okay.
at that point I didn't know that other girls rode bulls. I just went to the practice pen every weekend, and then I started going to some rodeos with my buddies, and I remembered them going up to the list of like who was entered and being like, this guy's gonna fall off. Oh, he's a money donor and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, I don't ever want to enter these things because, you know, like I always from that point on was like, well, if I'm going to enter a rodeo, I want someone to see my name on the list and be like, oh no, she's going to ride her bull. And so I stayed in the practice pen for for at least a year and a half before I ever entered anything. And then in 2016, they had a women's steer riding during the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. And I had caught wind about it, had heard about it. And so I was like, oh man, I want to go to that. It's in Texas. Like what was I, 19 or 20? I was like, I want to go to Texas. Like I'm going to drive out there and go to this deal. And so that was the very first time I came to Texas and was for that deal. And it was super fun. I met a lot of girls that rode bulls. That's when I learned that the PWRA used to have rough stock riding for all three women's event, like all three rough stock events. And yeah, it was, I mean, so then once 2016 rolled around, I was like driving out here like every other weekend, it seemed like.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot of
A lot of
driving.
miles,
Yeah, a lot of miles.
19 hours
Yeah. Star come with you
every time.
every time. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I think actually on that trip too, like this was like the first time I'd come to Texas and I had Star with me and we had like stayed out late one night, like, you know, talking to those girls or whatever. And so I was driving. It was like 1:30 and I was hungry. I never had Whataburger.
What?
And so I had stopped and got Whataburger and I just went through the drive-through and like parked in a parking spot because I wasn't going to leave her in the car. And like I guess a cop was watching me and he said that I was acting sketchy and I had a headlight go out literally on my trip there. And so then I like just drove off and I was driving to my friend's house and I get pulled over by two cops because I got
Oh,
out
no.
of state plates and
Of
stuff.
course. Of
I've got
course.
Star and she like is growling and they're like flashlighting in my
Oh,
car. I'm
no.
just like, what in the world? Like I've come to this place and I'm
She was growling?
oh yeah.
The one that's currently licking my hand and
Yeah.
loving me
No,
to death.
she's a guard dog.
Guard dog?
She
Nice.
But
doesn't
it
like
was like-
authority.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, bro, this is my first time to Texas. And
Welcome to Texas.
yeah.
Treat all of our new people well.
Yes. Yes. Well, so did you meet Dale here or did you how
No.
did that happen? How did you wind up working for Dale?
So in I had met Dale one time before, and I'd actually like won one of his like Rodeo Time Tuesday posts on
Okay.
Instagram like in 2017 or something. But it wasn't until 2020, I had gotten hurt really bad and I wasn't doing anything. I was just riding my horse around, listening to podcasts and stuff. And like one day he had mentioned that they were looking for a new intern on one of those podcasts, and I debated for like a week. I was like, do I do it? Like, I'm not making money. Like, should I go to Texas and not make money, you know, because I'm paid internship. And I finally just kind of bit the bullet and I was like, I'm just going to make a video. And so I made the video, submitted it, and then heard back pretty quick about, you know, potentially coming to work for them. And maybe I was just dumb but like during this whole process of like the picking the intern at that point was they were looking for an intern for the Netflix show to come work during the Netflix show. And so like we had set up a Skype call. The showrunner was on the Skype call and like, you know, we did the interview. I thought that's what he just did with everyone.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so we did the interview and stuff like that. And, you know, they told me that I was going to come on. And so he had called me like a couple days after that, you know, and he was like, yeah, like we're doing this for like a Netflix show or whatever. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, honestly, at first I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. Cause I had been mentioned movie stuff to me before that.
Mhm.
That fell through. So I was like, yeah, you know, like that's not why I'm going out there. Like I'm going out there because I want to go learn this thing. You know, like I wanted to learn about, you know, cowboying and going to brandings and stuff like that because we just don't have that in North Carolina.
Right.
And so then I was driving to Texas because I came a week early because I was driving and I get all the contracts for Netflix. And I'm like, oh, this is really gonna happen.
This is real.
Yeah. So yeah, then that's kind of how it started was just applying to be an intern, and it happened to be for this Netflix show.
So that's interesting because that's one of my next questions was you're introduced to the world basically in that very first episode of the Netflix show.
And that really happened.
That
really
I was going to
happened.
ask because it seems so staged. I was like,
No,
oh, right.
I was so nervous.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, like, they had like their production office, and we filmed this during, COVID. Like this was all filmed in 2020, and so like they had a production office. They take our temperature every day and
Oh, really?
and stuff like that. So like they made me meet them at the production office first, like the crew, the Netflix crew, and so. Then I was just sitting there hanging out. I've got Star, and they're like, all right, like you can go over to the ranch. I think the guys are ready to meet you or whatever. Nobody told me anything. Like I'm not even mic'd up. Like it's not like they mic'd me up over there. And I was like, I knew I was about to walk in on camera.
Right.
I just thought they were all over there. Like I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe I was just that dumb to like think that I wasn't gonna just drive up in scene.
Right.
But that legitimately happened. Like I'd never met any of those. Like I'd met Dale one time in Vegas, like at the NFR.
Right.
Because I was out there working for the BFO. I took a picture with him in Vegas in like 2019, but like didn't have a conversation with him. But talking to them guys, that was the first time I had talked to any of them.
That's funny because after doing what we do, I kind of have. You'll watch a movie and you're like, I know how they did that, or I bet that's staged, or
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I thought. I was like, I bet that was staged.
No,
that's
legitimately happened. I was so nervous. I was like, okay. Like
so your first 3 or 4 months with Dale was all just straight up
first 2 months. Yep, first 2 months were us filming, and so like with filming like the Netflix crew, they were union, which means they could only work, I think it was 5 days in a row, and then they had to take 2 days off. So if we worked through the weekend with that, like say we filmed just on Saturday and Sunday, well Monday, Tuesday would be the off days. I would work in the warehouse. Like I was, packing orders and learning how to do that stuff. So like, I mean, the first 2 months I worked there, like a day off didn't really come, which the Netflix, filming that was like pretty fun. So like, I mean, you don't realize you're working.
What was that like?
The Netflix show, I had a blast the whole time, but I mean, I didn't know I was going to have the opportunity to really get to stay after that, like, which I was hoping I was, but like, so I just soaked up every second that I could, the whole time I was there. Like, I had so much fun. The crew was great. Like, learning on camera, can be whatever. But
yeah, absolutely.
It was fun.
I would love to just even watch that, how that plays out, because, what Connor and I do, there's not a lot of takes. There's not a lot of scripting. It's, do it live is kind of our motto. And, it's all natural. So we have no idea what we're doing from a production standpoint. We figured this all out on our own, and, seeing somebody, do it professionally, I'm sure it would be like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. I mean, it was cool because like a lot of, like that film crew, like they hadn't been around our industry at all. And so like I just remembered seeing some of those camera crew like just standing there and not moving at points that I'm like, you should move, like
bull coming at them.
Yeah, but they have no idea. And I mean, they're trying to get the shot, and I kind of envy it, I wish I could just sometimes be able to get the shot, but it was pretty intense at some points.
So do you do a lot of the video work for Dale?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do some of it, like we all kind of take turns running the camera, editing, we have like a media team, and, we have our warehouse team, and I'm on the media team. So I'll run a camera, I'll edit a video, edit a podcast,
Yeah. I'm on the media team too. It's I run the cameras. Lorena breaks everything up into TikToks, and Connor just sits there.
Exactly. I hate it here.
He has catchphrases.
Yes, he does have catchphrases.
I hate it here.
And
Dance monkey dance.
That's his dance monkey dance. Yep, that's Connor. So did the show change your life at all?
Yeah, I mean, being on that Netflix show, like, definitely, like, I mean, there's just so many points into it. It's like I didn't realize how much of an inspiration I would become to little girls, I
Right.
guess, and that really has changed my life because I'd always lived my life, I felt like, in a positive light because I always told myself to live life like as if I had a little girl myself one day to look up to. I didn't ever want to be, a bad influence for myself for that reason. And so just now that like I was on a Netflix show and there's a bunch of little girls that look up to me and I love it so much because I mean, but I think that's just changed my life as in like how I live and the walk I live and stuff.
Well, Lorena and I watched. We binge watched How to Be a Cowboy yesterday. Kind of to she'd never seen it before, and it's been several years since I had seen it. So we kind of wanted to get caught up. And was it Dakota that you?
Yeah, Lakota
Lakota.
definitely is, one of those girls that she had found me through TikTok.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I had a little bit of a following before I went to work for Dale. And like I had met a lot of the guys that were around, like Cody Webster and JB. Like I had met them guys before. I wouldn't say I was friends with them or anything. I would say I was friends with Cody, but like I knew who those guys were. They knew who I was. They knew I'd get on bulls and get wrecked out, but like they knew who I was. And I had, a little bit of following from TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. So that's how Lakota had found me and had started sending me messages and stuff. And I would message back. And then she came to that rodeo during the show, which I thought was really neat because I drove like 6 hours
Yeah.
or something. It was far. And I was like, it just was so cool, that someone like
Yeah,
cared
absolutely.
that much that I had never actually met.
That is so humbling. We were in Ohio one time, and a gentleman came just to see us, and that's when you're like, wow, man, this is pretty cool. And so you never want to take any of that for
Right.
granted.
No, I don't. And it just blows my mind, like, especially like with Netflix, being so broad, like I just feel like it's starting to reach out to like more people that maybe aren't even necessarily in the rodeo
Yeah,
world.
absolutely. Is there any talk of a second season of that?
Not, I mean, Lord willing, but I haven't
Haven't heard anything.
heard anything.
What do you think? My question is, do you think the show was kind of ahead of its time? Personally, I think it was a good time frame. The Western boom, kind of was on the cusp right then. But I think right now, it would be maybe more well received. What do you think?
For sure. The other thing is like during that time that it came out, we were competing with a lot of like bigger shows. Like, because Squid Games came out like right after that, and that
Yeah.
ended up being the most viewed Netflix show ever
It's all your
at that
thunder.
time. So yeah, so like I do think it was a timing thing, maybe a little bit, but I think I can't remember if Yellowstone. I guess Yellowstone had come out at that point.
Yeah, Yellowstone came out before COVID because
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really taken off here lately.
has it really?
Not like the Netflix show,
Oh,
but like
okay.
the Western industry and
Right.
like the shows around the Western industry. Like there's
Yeah.
just starting to be more of them.
There's tons of them, tons of them. We were just talking. Well, Taylor Sheridan has done a really good job of putting out a lot of Western style shows. He's got that new one, Landman. Connor and I have been watching that in Lorena, and
Haven't seen it.
it's pretty good. It's way better than I think it's better than Yellowstone.
Well, because, one, it's new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something different for people to watch. And a lot of people, when it comes to a TV show in general, for example, Yellowstone, it gains such a cult following.
Yeah.
Mm.
You have people that know absolutely nothing about that life or that world watching it. Then you have the people who live and breathe that world. That is their life. That's what they do. So you have people saying, well, this should be this way. This is wrong. This is right. Whereas, don't get me wrong, with Landman, you have that same thing. You have everyone that's in the oil field world going, that's not right.
Yes.
But if you just take it for face value of TV, it's a
right.
good show.
Yes.
And like I say, I've heard, being in the Western industry for 10 years, I've heard about all I really want to hear about Yellowstone.
Yeah.
So to hear something new getting popular, I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything that's going to drive people, to keep them interested in the Western industry is
Right.
good for us, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, Kevin Costner just had that new show, Horizon,
Horizon.
come out, which I've heard kind of mixed reviews on it. I've actually heard a lot of people really like it, but then I've heard, some people that didn't. But like, it's just another one of those
yeah,
things,
yeah.
I guess.
I mean, I'm all for it. If people just start making more Westerns,
right.
I'm cool with it. I love Western movies.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say I filmed with a movie over last spring. That's a rodeo movie. So like, there's another one of them coming out. So
Oh, really? That's cool.
yeah, I think it comes out this year.
What's can you talk about it? Or?
It's called The Last Rodeo. The PBR is super involved with it. Neil, what's his last name? McDonough or something.
Oh, yeah.
like
Neil
that.
McDonough?
Yeah, he's the lead in the movie. So
All right.
I'll have to watch that.
We'll be looking for that for sure, guys. Let's bring How to Be a Cowboy back. If you haven't seen it and you have a Netflix account, go over and watch it. Maybe I don't know if you get residuals on that or not, but maybe. But it's a pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting show.
yeah.
It was pretty funny. What's what's your job with Dale? What do you do there? What's a day to day for you?
So I'm a full-time editor.
Mhm.
That's what I do every day. We rotate with interns feeding. So like some days we feed, like once a month. I think it comes out to be you have to feed for the week through the weekend, just because we all have something to do with those animals. But yeah, day to day, like we're either filming a skit, we're filming a rodeo time, we're filming a podcast, I'm editing. There's sometimes where like things, so we wholesale to like Cavenders. So sometimes like if we're short staffed out on the warehouse floor, like we'll jump in and help, or if there's Black Friday, like Black Friday's big for us, we kind of, it's definitely kind of a job. You just gotta be willing to do whatever, like
So it's not really like How to Be a Cowboy. You're
No.
not out there on horseback every day.
not every day. I mean, I ride almost every day. Like I
Right.
ride a horse almost every day.
And you have a horse too. You have your own horse, right?
Kind of.
Kind of.
I mean, I have my own horse in North Carolina, but
Right.
there is a horse on the ranch that I pretty much laid claim to. His name is Buster Rhymes.
Buster
And-
Rhymes,
yeah,
yes.
So he's there, and I ride him as much as I can.
Yeah, I do I've seen Buster Rhymes. I do my research, and I did a deep dive and probably watched a year's worth of your TikToks last week. So
Oh yeah, I have a horse back home in North Carolina that I
Right.
eventually want to move out here, but I gotta
Yeah.
get a trailer first.
yeah, trailer. I saw that video too. Well, wish you luck on getting the trailer and
Yeah.
getting your horse down here.
I just don't like. It's so funny. Like people on the internet, like they're such critics. Like as if I didn't think of all these things that they tell me. Like, why don't you just borrow one? Why don't you just pay a shipper? It's like, yes, but when she gets here, what do I do? Like, she's gonna be in a pasture where there's not an arena. Like, I was just like, you guys are missing the point of this.
As a matter of fact,
understand.
that's kind of how this all came about, because I saw it was on X that I saw your post about the horse trailer, and that's
Oh, yeah.
and so I went over to Instagram, sent you a message, and that's how this kind of all worked out. So
The
that
old X.
yes,
It's
right.
Twitter.
I know, and I think even in my message I think I said something about Twitter, because it's still Twitter in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I call it Twitter.
Yeah,
It's Twitter to everybody.
it is.
Let's
yeah.
face it.
I mean, if you say X, people really don't know what you're talking about, right? It could be
What?
anything, right? So it's Twitter. So I lost my place. Sorry.
I got questions.
Yeah. All right. Let's go do that, and I'll get myself organized.
All right. So they want to know what hat and boots you're wearing tonight, Jordan.
Okay, so I have a broken leg, so I'm actually wearing some Adidas's, white
Nice.
Adidas's, because it's a lot easier to walk. And my hat is a 40X American in the color bone.
Yeah, it's a good looking hat. We talked about that when you got here. And we're going to talk about your broken leg because it's actually still broken, even though you.
Yes, it is actually still broken.
So we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. Connor, what do you got on there? You got your Fenolios on.
I got my Fenolios and I got my black mink.
And guys, I'll tell you what, they are muddy. He's he
Got heavy
Well,
ranching.
they don't. I don't treat these good. These
That's
are the
what- that's-
ones that I.
We know.
They're
that
not
was-
the going to town boots, is what you're saying.
they're supposed to be, right? So we did a
There might
video.
be one all do everything boots.
Right. We did a video with Fenolio, and he got these boots, and we were going to see how long it would take them to be destroyed. And I think they were here within 2 weeks to clean them for you, weren't they? And get them back because
They were already torn up with what, briars and thorns.
Yeah. So
Barbed wire.
yeah. So and I'm wearing a natural and also Fenolios. So, what kind of boots do you wear though if you didn't have a broken leg?
The boots that I currently ranch on in like with my spurs that I keep on them are Watsons.
Okay.
I have a pair of Fenolios, and I think that's about it.
So, are you the only female ranch hand at Rodeo Time?
Yeah, I'm the only female intern. We do have other women that work in the warehouse, but as far as an intern goes, right now I'm the only girl. We had another girl at one point, but she was only here for like a year. But she went back to school.
I met Dale's office manager. I forget her name. Sorry,
Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We were out there a couple years ago. A very nice lady.
Yep.
So
Works hard.
yeah,
Works really hard.
she's very nice. So, what's it like? Do they treat you any differently? What's it like being the only woman there?
I mean, it's fine. Like, I think you got to have thick skin, even if you're a dude working out there. Because, I mean, when you get around a bunch of guys, you know how it can be.
Right.
Like, I mean, I have been riding bulls for a lot longer than I've been working for Dale.
Right.
And so I kind of had always been subjected to, like, their kind of humor and stuff like that. So, I mean, they're not mean to me, like if that's what you're asking. I'm not bullied, but
And even
No.
if she was, I don't think
I don't-
she would
no.
tell us.
No, I think she's
Maybe.
probably in the contract. She can't tell you.
yeah, I
Exactly.
can't tell you. But
On the off chance that Dale watches this,
yeah,
Right?
he could be watching right now. Who
Could be.
knows?
Could be.
I'm willing to make a bet. Probably not.
Probably not.
What time is it? He's probably had his slumber and is in bed.
Well, if you
It's
treat
9
women badly, you ain't a cowboy.
There you go.
That's all
No,
I'm saying.
they're all really good to me, and they're all super helpful. And sometimes I'm just honestly like I'm just one of the dudes
There you go.
half the time. So
Well, Connor's one of the dudes most of the time too. Most of the time.
All right.
Okay, so
I just work here.
so we were talking earlier about I'd said we'd watched How to Be a Cowboy yesterday. We kind of binge watched it, and Lorena has questions. So she is a huge animal lover, and her very first question was, "What happened to Carl Wayne?"
he went to the sale barn.
Yeah, we know that, but how is he now? Is he okay?
I don't know where he's at.
I told her he was probably steak, but she didn't want to hear
Can
it.
you feel if he actually said that?
I mean, do you want me to tell you what I say to when people ask where's Frostbite, like from that show?
Oh yeah, I remember that. What?
Frostbite?
Yeah.
I just say he's probably freezer burnt. But
Okay.
I mean, it's one of those. Do you want the answer that's going to make you feel better, or do you
Right.
actually want to know?
he went to go live on someone's farm.
Thank
That's
you.
what
eating
I
acid.
told.
Thank you.
That is
Okay.
what I told her too.
Makes me feel so much better.
That was the same thing her
He's
parents told her.
someone's pet.
Oh great.
Totally
Yeah.
the same thing people told their kids about their goldfish.
Yep.
He ran away.
Yeah.
So speaking of Frostbite, you chose Frostbite because you had a knee injury and you wanted something a little mild to get on while you were kind of rehabbing, right?
Yeah, well, that's what Netflix wanted you to think.
That's right. Okay.
Like, so I wasn't actually rehabbing a knee at that point.
Uh-huh.
It was 6 months. So 6 months before I went to go work for Dale, this injury that I had when I had applied to be an intern was like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I got stepped on at a rodeo and I had a greater than grade 5 lacerated liver, which has an 80% mortality rate.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was actually coming back from, not my knee. I had torn my ACL in 2017, but it was like fully healed. And I had like torn my meniscus on my other knee like a couple weeks before I'd gone there. And they wanted to like hone in on this knee injury because it was like I had this like really traumatic, literally almost lost my life injury. And then I had this like little baby. I tore my meniscus in my left knee and had surgery 5 weeks before I went to go to Dale's. But I was walking the same day I had surgery.
Right.
Like it was a very like mild deal. Like my knee was compared to this other thing that was like six months prior that like I probably shouldn't have been riding bulls, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like I shouldn't have even been getting on.
So, okay, I want to talk about the Rex here in a little bit, but I have questions about that. So let's save that for a minute.
Yeah, it was
Because-
crazy. It was like, bro,
You've had some accidents.
yeah. I mean, I get like the knee one was kind of crazy because I hadn't really gotten the go ahead that I was going to be going to Dale's yet.
Right.
When I had found out I had like torn my meniscus, which if you've torn your meniscus, it's the cartilage but that like cushions your knee.
Okay.
It had torn and flipped over, so I was going to have surgery either way. Well, there was 2 options for the surgery. One, take the meniscus out that's torn and you're walking the same day, it's like nothing happened. Or 2, try to repair that and you're on crutches, no weight bearing for at least 6 weeks. And so like I was like, man, you got to risk it to get the biscuit. So I just had it taken out, but I was walking the same day. Like, I mean, I think I'm pretty sure I got on bulls like that next week.
Okay.
I was getting on bulls while it was injured. I was fighting bulls. I was like, I mean, it wasn't that significant, I guess, of an injury.
So slow learner, maybe? Is that what
I
I'm
mean-
hearing? A little hard headed?
I mean, it just wasn't. I just had this even crazier deal that they could have,
Right.
that was a little bit actually worse, and they just kept talking. Because now
Well, they
people
didn't
come
want-
up to me about my knee, and it's like, yes, my knee is bad.
Well, maybe thinking at it from a different perspective, maybe they didn't want to take too much focus away from Dale and put it on you.
Well,
Maybe, I mean,
That's the only reason I could think they would say, let's not focus on that.
well, they did show it though, right? They showed.
yeah, they showed
you in-
me in my coma
it-
in a picture. I was like, bro,
All
Maybe
Let's
maybe it
show
was
it, but
because
don't
you were
acknowledge
wearing knee braces when you were riding, right?
yeah,
Maybe that just put it up front. And who knows what they were thinking.
yeah, I have no idea. I just was like, man, because like there's a really crazy story with my liver accident.
Yeah.
Like it's a very empowering story, I guess. Like, I don't know, I've made people cry when
Yeah.
I tell it.
Well,
But-
you guys are going to hear that in just a minute.
So like it was just like, why didn't you just go with that one? But I get it. I mean, the knee injury was 5 weeks before I got there. It
Right.
just wasn't that significant.
It was the most fresh one, right? So that's what they
Yeah.
wanted to go with.
Pretty easy.
So, my question about Frostbite though was, he seemed like a smaller bull than something you would see on PBR, right?
Yeah, he was young.
Yeah.
Because he ended up getting big.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty young when we picked him up at the sale barn, which I mean is part of the reason he was smaller. But he did end up growing into be a pretty big boy.
So how does that work for women's bull riding? Are they generally a smaller bull, or can they run the range?
I would say it more varies on their bucking ability.
Yeah.
Because the size of them doesn't necessarily matter. Like when we're looking at bulls to use for like a women's bull riding, like the size has never really deterred me from using something. It's just the way they buck.
Okay.
Like it's more about the bull's ability than their size. Because we've gotten on some smaller bulls that I would say buck harder than some of the bigger bulls we've gotten on in the women's stuff.
Interesting. Well, how does it work? it's a completely separate rodeo, or is it a separate event in the rodeo for women's bull riding? Excuse me.
Yeah, so we had like our own women's association, and we were graciously given a space in some of these UPRAs that are local. Bob Champion and Shane Young, who are both UPRA stock contractors, will allow us to come and just have our own section of bulls at their rodeos.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of followed the UPRA circuit around a little bit because we'll go to all their rodeos and we have a finals, and we'll also piggyback off of some of those like World Senior bull riding, the WSPBR. Like we had our finals with them this year, and because they really do have the perfect set of bulls. Because I don't know if you know what the World Senior is, but it's like the old men bull riding.
Yeah.
Like they have like a 55 and age up bull riding division, and so like they have like the best set of bulls like anybody could ask for, like anything from a bucker to a walk trot, like they've got it. And so we'll go to some of them, but we try to majorly stick to like the UPRA just because we're also trying to build it, so it's bigger, and like try to get like the WPRA to like recognize us again and maybe get them to add it, because right now women's professional rodeo is only breakaway, barrel racing, and I think they have team roping now, like their own women's team roping, I believe.
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
So are you active in kind of the political side of that as well, and trying to?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. So we had an association. It's called the Elite Lady Bull Riders, and that's just kind of what we call ourselves. There's been plenty of other women's bull riding names out there and stuff, but that's been like the most recent one that I've been a part of and been setting up the rodeos, trying to get that in money, trying to get the sponsors, like trying to talk to rodeos to let us come and ride, and yeah, just kind of doing all of it.
It's interesting. So I lost my place again. Sorry. let's go ahead and talk about the injuries real quick, because there's been a lot of them.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot. So you currently have a broken leg.
Yes.
You broke that back in September. For that, I know you said you broke your face, right?
Yeah, I broke the bone that like connects your jaw or like your cheekbone or something. I don't know. Yeah, I broke that over the summer.
Yeah. I know you've had punctured lungs.
Broken jaws, like the actual jaw being broken, not just the bone.
Wow.
Arms, legs, ribs. Concussions.
But the absolute worst was the 2020.
I would say on paper for sure.
On paper.
On paper, it's the worst. Physically and mentally, this broken leg has actually been the worst.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
But on paper, that one in 2020, by far the worst.
So this happened in September.
Yep, September of 2024.
And you just got stepped on.
Yep.
That was it. I saw the video. It didn't look, as a matter of fact, the first angle, I was like, must not be the right video, because it didn't look like he got you really. But evidently,
he just stepped on me. I think it's because of those knee braces too. Kind of gave a little bit of leverage, made it easier to break. Honestly.
Broke it right in half.
Oh yeah, both of them.
Yeah,
tibia and fibula. I got a rod inserted down my whole tibia.
Really?
And 4 screws, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom.
Left or right?
Right.
Right. Okay. All right. And you had to go through rehab, I'm sure, with this, or?
I hadn't. Not at this point, because it's been healing super slow.
Right.
Like this has been the slowest healing I've ever experienced in my life. Like a lot of times, like I wouldn't, like especially with bones, like I wouldn't notice that something's been broke for more than 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's been almost 4 months and it still hurts.
And you said, I think 70%. It's only
75% healed as of last week.
Okay.
So
what's the prognosis on this? You got another month before it's.
Yeah, I would think. I go back to the doctor. Like he's like, it's not healed enough that he still wants to see me again.
So no bull riding. Right
yeah,
now.
he kind of told me that. I was like, what can I do?
Are you going to listen to him?
Well, that's just for right now. Like,
so that means no.
Well, I mean, he didn't ever tell me that I couldn't do it again. He just was like, "You just can't do it right now."
You like loopholes, don't you?
Oh, no, I mean,
No,
I agree
no,
with
no,
her.
no,
He
no,
just
no.
meant right now, right? I
Well,
mean,
cause I was like, "What can I do right now?" And
What can I do?
he was like, "Well, don't fall down, like don't jump, don't run,
right.
and don't ride a bull."
Okay.
I was like, "So can I work out?" He was like, "Yeah, as long as you don't do those 4 things."
long as you-
And I was like, "Okay, cool."
So maybe I guess rehab after that, or do you need it, or you have pretty good range of motion still, or
Yeah, so like that was like the weirdest part about it is I got my range of motion back pretty fast and everything. Like he was pretty impressed with that. It's just this bone is not healing. Like it's just not fusing back together like it should. And so like, yeah, I've got all the range of motion, had it pretty much from day one. I started moving my knee and stuff, and my ankle took a little bit longer to catch up, but yeah, no, I haven't done any rehab yet.
Okay. Let's talk about 2020. And can you tell us the story of what happened? Where were you? Was it Big Bull? I mean, what happened? Tell us the
Yeah.
whole thing.
So in 2020, this is a really good story, guys.
All right,
I hope I'm
sit
not
back.
hyping it up.
back.
So in 2020, it was right around the time that COVID started. And when I was back home in North Carolina, I would enter like just the open bull riding in like the novice division or something. And then I would come to Texas to ride in the women's bull riding. So if I rode anything at home, it was always against the guys in the open. Like I would ride with them. And so it was March of 2020, and I went to this rodeo in Tennessee, 5-hour drive from where I was. And I had a boyfriend at the time, and we fought the whole way there, and I was not in a mental space to get on bulls. Like I knew I shouldn't have gotten on. Like that's I think the kind of the worst part about it is like I knew I shouldn't have gotten on, but I was like, I'm gonna tough it out. I'm just gonna get on anyway. Well, I'm not a drinker, and I had drank the night before, and so I was hungover. So I took a bunch of Motrin before getting on because I had this like really bad headache. And so I get on just a nice bull. Like I'd rode a bull the night before, had practiced the night before, rode well, and then like I didn't sleep good that night, and I was fighting with him the whole day, and I go to get on this bull, and he just comes out and he turns back to the left, and I just kind of fall to the outside, and he steps right on my stomach. And I kind of like roll over because I can't get up, like, which is not like me anyway. And so they carry me out and they put me in the ambulance, and like my stomach's bubbled over with blood already
Holy crap.
because like I was internally bleeding. And so they rushed me to the hospital, and I get in there, and like the morphine's kicking in and stuff like that. And I'm like complaining about my collarbone the whole time. I'm like, I think I broke my collarbone. Bull neck didn't even come close to my collarbone. Like
And you
it's
have
so,
internal bleeding, and you're
I have internal bleeding. I'm worried about my shoulder or like my collarbone. But once the pain medicine wore off, I was like, oh no, like I'm good. Well, they did the CT scan and stuff like that, and they came in. They're like, yeah, you lacerated your liver. Well, I had done this before. Like I had like a grade 2 lacerated liver before, and so I was like, all right, cool. Like I'm gonna be out of here by morning. Like I'm good. Well, they hadn't really told me like the severity of the lacerated liver at this point. They just said that I had lacerated my liver. Well, I'm waiting, and you know how they have, like if you go to the hospital, you have a blood pressure cuff on.
right.
Well, my blood pressure cuff couldn't pick up my blood pressure anymore because I was bleeding so much on the inside, and so like this alarm starts going off. So a doctor and a student nurse come in. They're like, "Hey, blood pressure's dropped. We can't track it. We need to stick the needle in your artery in your wrist to be able to track your blood pressure." They're like, "It's gonna hurt." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Like I'm just like, "Go ahead." And so they start sticking me, and they can't find it. And they stick me about 10 times or so before, like the student nurse is like, "I'd like to try one more time." And I just looked over them. I was like, "I just like it if y'all quit," like at this point. About the time I said that, a surgeon walked into the bloodway, and he was holding 2 bags of blood, and he said, "Y'all need to quit. We got to take this girl back to the OR right now or she's going to die."
Wow.
And like this is all stuff I remember. Like I don't know if it was out of body. Like people will argue with me on it. I'm like, dude, like I know what I felt and I saw, but after he came in and said that, like I just remembered being wheeled into the OR and seeing the big light, and I have a scar the whole length of my stomach, and I remembered seeing them like cut me open and their hands go inside. And at that point everything went bright. I had no emotions. I wasn't sad, I wasn't mad, I felt nothing. It was just bright. Well, off in the distance I could just see a figure standing there, and I remembered saying, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, and I woke up. And that was 3 days later. So during that time, that 3 days, I had started out at a local little hospital, and they had transferred me to a bigger trauma center, and they'd put me on the transplant list to get a new liver because they didn't know if, the first hospital wasn't a big trauma center. Like
Right.
all they did was just go in there and try to stop the bleeding and then ship me off.
Right.
And so in those 3 days, they, were pumping all the excess and they were waiting for a liver and stuff. And then they went in there and checked it, and they're like, the first hospital had saved just enough tissue that my liver was going to be able to regenerate on its own, and I wasn't going to need the transplant. And so it was like, also, it's during COVID. So the day that I got stepped on was the day that like shutdown started happening. That like no, not everyone had shut down. Well, about that day 3, everyone was closed. Nobody they only let my dad in the hospital until I got an ICU.
Mhm.
And then I was there for 2 weeks by myself. Like couldn't have anyone because I had like a bile leak and stuff like that. But it was just crazy because everyone was like, dude, are you gonna ride bulls again? Like on paper, I flatlined
Yeah.
on the table. Like when I saw that light, like they told me that I coded on the table twice. Once at that first small hospital and then again at the bigger hospital. And honestly, like I couldn't answer anyone. I was like, man, I think I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't gonna get on again. And that's when I also kind of just knew that I don't think God would have given me the fire and desire and passion to ride bulls had he not, like he wouldn't do that to someone. Like he's not going to like make you have all these things for something and then like put you in harm's way. Cause like I could have gone home. Like I was there, but he knew that I had a bigger purpose here. And then that's what led my bull riding is what led me to go work for Dale and just start to become like what I think as a positive role model on this world and what the world's become and just trying to be a positive light to people.
So there's a lot there.
Yeah, it was intense. It's
Were you scared at any point during this when the doctor came in and said, look, she's got to go to the OR right now or she's going to die? Were you ever scared?
No, I never felt anything like that. Like I wasn't scared, like I was upset, I guess, because like I was dating this guy and then, like I was, worried, I guess, but I wasn't ever scared because like I'd had so many surgeries up to that point that it was like just another day to me, like
That's just
I had
Tuesday.
had so many so many people were terrified to go under anesthesia and I'm like, bring it on,
What kind of insurance do you have? Because
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Your premiums must be through the roof.
yeah. I would say uninsurable almost.
Yeah, probably if they did like a full scan on me. Because like, I mean, I've gotten hurt and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I'm
sure.
not surprised.
So I mean, you're pretty much fearless then. Like,
I mean, kind of. I've definitely like toned it back some more now.
Okay.
Like as far as like putting myself into dangerous situations. But
I'm sure
like
your mom was
cars
probably
make me
happy.
really
about that.
anxious.
Cars do.
What?
Yeah, being in driving in a car like here recently has been, but that's just because, like I broke my leg really bad and I had a friend who got in a car accident and had the same injury as me,
Okay.
but worse. And so it just makes me think like,
Well,
oh,
and I can understand that. We have a head shaper that I work with. He was in an accident and he has a rod in his leg.
right.
And it's been
I don't want to
Probably a
do this
year.
again. I don't
Right.
want to do this
And
again.
he
This
still
was bad.
it still hurts him almost every day.
Yeah.
And that's got to have been almost a year ago by now.
Yeah, I don't want to do this again. So like that's like now it makes me anxious being in a car. It's like, golly, like not that I could die, but that I could just break my leg again.
You just you start over,
Not worried
start
about
back to
dying.
square one.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Not worried about dying. I just don't want the broken leg.
I just don't want to
Thing
get hurt again.
honestly, after my
No, it
liver
hurts no fun.
accident, I was not scared to die.
Yeah.
I was not.
Okay.
Dying is not scary to me anymore. Like
Well,
it might have been before that, but
Right.
like it was so, I mean, I saw it and I felt it and it was like there is nothing to be scared of. And maybe that's just because I have enough confidence in my faith and I know where I'm going. And he showed that to me and like he showed me that I have a bigger purpose here on earth right now and that's why I wasn't called home, but like I am not scared. I'm scared to be hurt again, but I'm scared
you're
scared.
scared of everything that comes along with being hurt.
Yeah.
So how many total injuries have you had? And this is before you met Dale and then after. I'm trying to correlate.
Okay.
I'm trying to I'm trying to see if it's Dale's fault.
No, it's not because I've had
Contractual obligations can't say that.
no, I've had 3 surgeries since I worked for Dale and I've had 14 total.
Right. Okay. That's not bad.
No, I mean, and
So he must be safer.
well, I mean, the one surgery I had where I broke my arm, like I wasn't even at his house. I had gotten bucked off a personal horse that I had that I ended up selling. But yeah, I got bucked off a horse and broke my arm, and I wasn't even close to the ranch when that happened.
When he told me you were coming on here, and he kind of gave me a little bit of your backstory. Sorry, I was like, I gotta ask the question. At what point do you decide maybe something's not for you? But listening to you talk about your drive and passion for it, I can't blame that. I can't.
Right.
I can't ask that question. I already know the answer.
I wish I knew.
There's not going to be. There's at what point do you stop? No, there's not an answer for that.
I just think
only
I'm
other
wired wrong.
That's
Wired wrong.
Like seriously,
that's
like,
fair.
I think, trust me, I have thought about it. There's people, I get it. Like, why go back? I'm like, dude, I wish I knew.
The
Like,
only
I
other
wish I knew.
the other question is, at what point do you become the bionic woman? At this point,
I am.
Oh, that's true.
I've
That's
got
true.
metal in both my wrists, my rod, and my leg.
Well, is there
ACLs.
$6 million woman over here.
Yeah, pretty much.
has there ever been a time you rode a bull in a rodeo and you didn't get hurt? I guess
Yeah, a lot. Like all summer,
all summer.
pretty much. I mean,
Alright.
I got hurt twice.
Yeah.
My jaw, I mean, so, okay, for context, this year, or in 2024, from January 1 to the day that I got my leg broken, I wrote down every bull I got on.
Right.
I got on over 100 bulls last year.
That's a bunch.
Wow.
I got hurt on 2. That's how fast, I mean,
All
that's
right,
also
that's-
like, it's a pretty good average.
That's a pretty good average on
Pretty
that.
good
It is.
average.
It is, and I was just teasing on that anyway.
No, I did write down every bull because I was really focusing on like my mental game last year. The other thing too is like a lot of injuries, like I come back riding from injuries better than I did
Right.
before.
Right.
Because like my liver injury, like I used to get nervous getting on bulls. I would never say I was scared, but I'd get nervous. But dude, I'm telling you, like after that happened, like
Well, I
I
mean,
just wasn't scared of anything.
after the worst case, you get on thinking, what's the worst that can happen? Well, when the worst happens and you come through,
Yeah, I mean that doesn't mean I'm gonna go climb on bushwhacker
Well,
or
fair.
whoop. Like
fair.
I just want to have fun with it. I want to enjoy it. I want to give myself a little bit of a challenge, but at the end of the day, like I am physically built different than a man, and I understand that, and I acknowledge that, and I'm never gonna go and like try to play that card of like, like those girls, some of those girls do, like
I can do anything you can do.
yeah, pretty much, and like I want to ride good bulls. Like, do not get me wrong. Like, I don't want to be stuck on the steer that runs across the pin. Like, I think I
Right.
am. Obviously has shown that I can be better than that. But I'm also not just going to be like, look at me, like I'm going to go get on the rankest thing
Yeah.
I can just to try to prove a point.
I'll tell you what, there's no way I'm getting on a bull. Not a chance in hell. But is there any chance we can get Connor out there and get him
for
on a
sure. You can ride
I'll
Trump.
do it.
bull? Would you do it, really?
Yeah.
We got 58 witnesses right now watching, Connor. Are you sure? All right.
All right.
Stars over here snoring.
Absolutely. Um,
I'd give anything a shot once.
well, I didn't even think you would get on a horse, but if you're willing to get on a
You won't get
I-
on a horse?
I may look like a cowboy, but I ain't no cowboy. I do cowboy things, but I do all my cowboy things from the back of a 4-wheeler or side by side.
Yeah.
I've hauled plenty of horses. I've hauled plenty of cattle. I just never got on the back of one.
Hey.
See, that was like North Carolina. Like everyone did it by
Yeah.
everyone though.
That's just the way me and my buddy do it. We do all of our stuff on the back of a side by side. It's just easier.
Hey, you know what though? Something about I was just thinking when you broke your rib and punctured your lung, where was that? Was that like out in the middle of nowhere? Because I'm thinking, how do you get medical attention, in situations like that? Because Connor and I have been out hunting in the middle of nowhere, and I'm thinking, man, if something bad
Oh yeah,
happens
you're
up here,
talking out at Mitchell's place.
yeah,
Yeah.
something bad happens out here. How are we ever going to make it to
Because out there
medical
you don't have service.
Yeah.
right?
So it's not like you can call somebody, and I know obviously if something happens to me, you're not familiar with that land.
No, but I know how to stop some bleeding.
I've been pretty fortunate in like situations like that I've been by myself in and like not getting hurt. Like when I got bucked off that horse, I was by myself, but I don't know if it was like I collie fractured it and had to get a plate and screws put in, but like I like somehow like got all my chickens back up, found my phone and like called my friend that was in the house. And I was like, "Hey, I think I just broke my arm." And she's like, "Are you sure it's broke?" I was like,
Oh yeah.
"Oh yeah, it's broken." Like really broken.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
Huh.
She's like, "Where's the horse?" I said, "Running down the highway. Leave him."
Oh wow. Oh wow. So what about your mom? I know in the show she was worried about you riding bulls and she didn't want you riding bulls. Has any of that changed?
Yeah, like I mean, she's a little bit more supportive of it now than she was back then. It was always so funny. So like up until the Netflix show, so which was in 2020,
Right.
my mom had never seen me ride a bull in person.
Oh really?
Never. She'd been at my house when I had bucked bulls because I had built a pen in my front yard in North Carolina so I could practice. She had never even seen me practice. And so when we did the Netflix show, she like made a comment one time and she was like, "Well, if they get a season 2, then like maybe I can come watch you ride a bull in person." I was like, "No, you're going to have to do it before you're on TV doing it." Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, she's gotten more supportive. I mean, she's just now gotten to the point where she's like, "Dude, you're just not going to stop." Just not going to.
Yeah. Well,
She's
some
come to
things.
terms with it, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
pretty much. Yeah, she's just,
Well, I mean, that's a parent's job, is always worry. So
yeah.
So let's get back to the female bull riding real quick. I had a question. In the show, they talked about maybe there's 15, 20 female bull riders at that time. Has that changed? Is there more now? How's that look?
I mean, I would say it's still probably about the same.
Really?
Like about consistency,
Okay.
like for sure.
And most of those women are here in Texas, or are they scattered throughout the country?
They're pretty scattered. I mean, there's probably more girls now. It's just it's kind of one of those things though. It's like there's a lot of girls what I've seen. Not talking crap or anything. This is just from what I've seen. A lot of girls will get on the jump kickers. They'll get on the bulls that go in a straight line and stuff like that. And then about the time that it's time to move up or start getting on spinners, a lot of those girls don't continue or they just stay at that lower level,
Mhm.
which is fine. Like, I mean, to each their own. You got to do what makes you happy.
Can't get a good score on a straight
No.
line bull.
No, but like, there's also got to be a little bit of challenge. Like I said, like I don't think you have to go get on Whoopa. I don't think you have to go get on the bulls that they're hauling to these PBRs or PRCAs or like I don't think you have to do that. But there's plenty of high school, junior high bulls that turn back that women can handle 100% if they put the work and dedication in to riding them. And so, it just fluctuates, I think, with that. Like there'll be 20 girls riding, but maybe only 10 of those will ever go to the spinner half. So then once those 10 stop getting on the jump kickers, there's like this new set of 10 girls that are starting out getting on jump kickers, if that makes sense.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Rodeo Rex. So Rodeo Rex is an Instagram account, and Dale Brisby, it's one of Dale Brisby's accounts, but you
Yeah, so he acquired
curate that for him?
I didn't create it. Gabby Jaffe created it in I can't remember what year she started that, but I had actually made that page before. Like me and her, had hung out a couple times and stuff like that, even before I worked for Dale.
Mhm.
But she's the one that created it and really built it up to what it is.
Right.
But we acquired it a couple years ago, and yeah, I'm the one that kind of will hit post on there. It's kind of hard to post on there sometimes
Yeah.
because people are mean and
Oh, really?
yeah, like people will send in Rex and it'll be something good and I'll repost it and then there'll be a bunch of negative comments and that person's like, "Oh, please take it down. Like I didn't know people were gonna attack me like that and
Right.
stuff." And so like, but it's like you don't really want to turn the comments off, but I don't know.
You don't want to be that person that turns the comments off
Right.
the video.
Right. I mean, well, there's some pretty gnarly stuff on there. I saw just last week, a guy got kicked in the back of the head by a horse.
Oh yeah, and like scalped him.
Yeah, and I had to scroll past quick.
Yeah,
I mean, it was pretty nasty.
It definitely I was just talking about this to someone the other day. I was like, it is sometimes like kind of hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
Like because like and maybe that's just because right now like I'm freshly hurt and so it just kind of like makes me think back to my broken leg a little bit and like my broken leg was bad and just like the kind of PTSD that has come from it. Let's start snoring.
We can hear her snore.
I could hear her out from under the monitors. I don't think I could hear it through the mic.
I love her so
my
much.
snoring.
Elena is a huge.
Yeah, but it is. Some of them are pretty hard to stomach.
Yeah.
Like I saw one the other day that was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I can repost this. It's
Really?
so bad.
Do you guys get any of the community notifications where they block some of that stuff? Or
Yeah, some of them will get, blocked or whatever. But like the other thing is like, I think people forget like it's just a repost page.
Right.
Like all I do is repost, or if I see something, like I'll repost it or something like. And sometimes people get fired up over it. I was like, dude, I just saw this video. I knew like this person, it obviously wasn't their video, but I was just trying to repost it. And, like some people get mad if you don't give them credit or whatever. And I was like, bro, I just didn't know, like, but I'll go back and throw that on there. And yeah, sometimes it's fun, but here lately it's been kind of hard to stomach because they're bad. Some of them are bad.
yeah, I've been following it for quite a while, but it's pretty gnarly ones that come up that
Yeah.
you really kind of say, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like I like posting the ones where like the other day I posted one of like a bunch of little ponies that bucked off like 5 kids all in a row, like in a lesson. And I thought it was hilarious.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about events. So you were recently at Cowboy Christmas out in Vegas for the NFR. How was that?
It was good. I mean, I was still pretty crippled. I had just got cleared to walk like 2 weeks before without crutches, like 2 weeks before, or a week before we left.
I've done trade shows in Vegas, and there's a lot of walking. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot of walking, but it was a good time. Like it was really good for us.
And so we've got what do we got? We got Wessa coming up. Was it next week? Week after this, something like that. Are you going to be at Wessa?
I personally will not be. We will have a booth there, but I won't be there.
Okay.
I'll be editing.
Editing.
Back home working.
Yep. Back at the house.
You do a lot of travel for. So what's most of your travel is? Do you do a lot of travel with Dale, or do you do mostly travel for, the bull riding?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of my travel would just be like my bull riding related or like just stuff that I'm doing, like vacations and stuff. But we do a lot of booths, like booths is a big part of us, but we do like Fort Worth, San Antonio, and Houston, and like I guess I travel going to those, or I've gone to some other booths. Like we had one in Florida for Florida FFA, and I went to that one, and just kind of depends. We'll go to Indianapolis for National FFA convention, and I would say if I do any traveling, it's mostly with booths for Dale.
I
But
forgot about the stock show. It's I my mind is on WESA first and then stock show, so
Yeah.
I'd kind of
yeah,
put that out of my mind. So that's right.
see, I
that's
don't
coming
deal
up
with the
too.
wholesale, but we do the booth. So
Stock show starts this week.
Yeah.
yeah,
right.
so we rotate because there's like 10 interns.
Mhm.
Like they'll send 2 at a time,
Oh wow.
and so you just kind of rotate through, and you pretty much work one of each one, like
Okay.
a week of each one.
All right.
Ish.
All right. So what's next for you, and I guess what's coming up?
So, I mean, right now I'm healing,
Mhm.
so like I'm not physically doing too much.
Any plans? I guess on. All right. I'll be able to ride a bull by say May.
No, I don't typically try to like make deadlines like
Yeah.
that with healing,
Mhm.
because I never want to like rush the process or risk injury further or
It's-
something like that, like I don't want to be like, I want to ride a bull by May 1st. And it's like, well, if you get to May 1st and it's like, you said you were going to ride a bull May 1st. And
It's
it's like,
so
well,
it's so easy to re-injure yourself, especially when you're right there in the middle of the recovery, and you're like, oh, it feels pretty good.
right.
I think I can do this, and then boom,
Yeah.
re-injury. So
And it's like a lot of mental, like it's mentally tough on you too. And like you want to have the slightest bit of pain will throw off your mental game, like,
Oh, yeah.
you step, like earlier I was walking and it kind of like hurt for a second. I was like, man, like I thought I was doing better, and I don't, I just don't ever want to put myself in the position where I'm like throwing off my mental game because my physical
Right.
game isn't 100%.
Right. Well, tell people where they can find you, because you're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter.
Yep. So my TikTok and my Instagram are the same. It's Jorden, Jorden 395. And then like my Twitter is like Jorden Halvorsen, all one word, Jorden Halvorsen. Both my names are spelt wrong. Because Halvorsen is usually spelled differently, but
I had to check it 3 times, make sure I put the E in Jordan, and then
Yeah.
I think I swapped the
Verson.
Yeah.
Instead of Vorsen. Yep. Welcome to my life.
Yes. Yeah.
I never got a keychain with my name on it.
I feel that.
Because Jorden.
Me either. Me either. So
Oh, yeah, so I get it.
Do you have any questions over there, Lorena?
I do.
I forgot. We were busy
forgot all
talking.
about me.
We didn't forget about you, but we were kind of
Bad.
was just so interested in the story that I did forget to take questions. So, what do you got?
All right. So Dan McGlade says, when Jorden went off to the bull ride and won her belt buckle on the show, I was
Oh,
a bit
that's right.
disappointed in how it was received by the guys on the show. It should have been a bigger deal. And let me say, I thought this exact same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I had already won so many at that point. They just weren't impressed anymore.
Got another buckle.
Just kidding.
How many buckles do you have?
A lot.
That's a good
Oh,
I
question.
feel like, I think around 30.
30.
Wow. And I asked her this off camera, but I would like to ask her again because I think it's very interesting and probably something that people have asked themselves. How do you keep your hat on when riding a bull?
So if I get on like a bull with my hat, like I'll pull down the flap on the back and then it kind of like sucks it down a little bit tighter. But do you want me to show you?
Yeah, that
The back of the leather.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you pull down this like piece of leather right there, like that, you can kind of snug it down a little bit tighter. So now it's not gonna come off at all.
There you go. That's a trick I didn't
I've
know.
seen that. The hairspray trick. The bobby pins.
Bobby
all that.
pins,
I haven't used any of that. I just do
tape.
that.
tape.
Oh yeah, I have seen or putting the foam
Hmm.
on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then David James, when you were talking about your injuries, he says she paid her dues. She knows what I mean. Rode bulls professionally. You pay your dues.
Yeah, you do pay your dues.
Yeah.
Some pay more than others.
Yeah.
I got slammed a lot.
And then Sarah Miller, who's a moderator. I don't know if she's still
Yes.
here. If she is, hi Sarah.
Sarah Miller is one of our moderators for the American Hat Company Facebook group, and she was excited when she found out you were going to be on here. So
She says, "Hey Jordan, what is your favorite American hat model, straw, and felt?"
So this straw this felt has been my favorite. I like the what is it? The sisal?
okay,
Yeah.
Sisal?
Oh, me too.
I
Bill
love
wears a lot.
the straw
Me too.
sisals. That is my favorite.
Lightweight, pretty resilient.
Yeah.
it's kind of got a sheen to it. If you see it in person, it's kind of a shiny hat. It looks
Yeah.
different. So if you haven't seen that in person, I know.
I really like those straws.
Yeah, I never thought about actually getting one. It just seemed like it's really thin. It's really lightweight. So great hat though.
And then Ty Cox says, "Hello, Miss Jordan. Do you want to get married and have a family one day?" I don't know if this is a preposition or just a question.
No, I mean, yeah, I do, but as of right now, just taking it day by day.
I mean, you're very young. How old are you?
I'm probably older than you think I am.
I think you're 20 something, probably in your early 20s. So I'm going to say 24.
29. I'll be
Wow.
30 in April.
Really?
I had the benefit of seeing your I think what is your TikTok tag, and it says 95, right? Is the year
Oh,
you're born,
yeah,
right? I
95.
figured that's what it was. So I'd guessed that already.
All right. They definitely love Star. They're on the couch. They
Yeah, she looks so cute on this angle right here.
She-
Like,
it's funny. She was down here, and before we started, she was on the floor. And I said, "Is there any way you can, is she on command, get her to just stick her head up and say hi?" And it's like, "You want her up on the couch?" Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of how that happened. And I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. I can hear her snoring every once in a while. It's so funny.
yeah, she had a surgery when she was like a little puppy, so her breathing's kind of off.
Okay, what was wrong with her?
So when she was born, she's a registered golden retriever. I got her for free because she was born with a diaphragmatic hernia,
Oh wow.
which means all of her intestines were inside of her diaphragm. She almost died from it. That's where she got the name Star, because golden retrievers all have a big white spot on their forehead. So her registered name is Quarter Moon's I Am a Lucky Star, because she almost died from that. But it kind of, you can hear it in her breathing from, that surgery when she was like, right before I got her. She saw the staples in her stomach
Oh yeah.
when I got her.
And they want to know if you have a favorite Dale Brisby hat.
Favorite Dale Brisby hat. I really like, right now I've been rocking the Navy Radiator Ranch cap. I don't know what it's specifically called, that or the Just Ranchin'.
Okay. We'll put a link to all of your social media below in the description below, and we can maybe put a tag. Hey, do me a favor real quick, and can you fix that before it goes off?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
But I do have one more question.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I got a couple questions myself.
So Mike K, he says, you are a trailblazer. Any role models or mottos you'd like to share?
Be who you want to be and not who you're told to be. I think it's a very big thing to live by.
That's nice.
You have another one?
Let's see here. They ask about your hat. Well, people maybe got here a little bit late. So it's bone, right? You're wearing a 40X?
40X bone.
American.
40X bone. American.
Yep. And
Marco.
Ándale pues. My English is not Englishing very well tonight. Who shaped your hat? They want to know. Do you know who shaped it? Did you?
I can't remember who. I've had like 4 people shape this one. I believe Omar was the last person that shaped this. I can't remember his last name right at a second.
So I had one question. What's it like working with Dale on a daily basis? Because when I met him, he is so different off camera.
Right.
And we did a like a small TikTok style video together. And as soon as the camera came on, I was like that.
Right.
He turns it on and it's a completely different person. So I imagine it's just crazy to work with him.
Yeah, it's really good. He's a really good boss.
Yeah.
Like he is a great boss. And so especially when we're filming, sometimes he is still like kind of mellow on camera and we have to be like, "Hey, you're Dale Brisby, remember?" Like
Pick it up.
yeah. But that's just what everyone gets tired,
Yes.
especially someone like him who is he's just constantly going. And so no, he's great to work with every day, like we have our morning meetings, pick on each other kind of deal.
All right. You have any last questions before we wrap it up?
Well, this is a question I have.
Okay.
What goes through your mind when you're riding a bull? Is there
Stay
time?
on.
Don't
Just
let
crap,
go.
crap,
fall
crap.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't suck, right?
yeah, don't fall off. I don't know. Have fun.
I mean, I guess it so happens.
It happens so fast. It is so fast, but it's also so long at the same time. Because like, if you're really riding one, and like you're like, okay, where's the buzzer at? Like it feels like it's forever too. But then there are times that it feels like it was a blink of an eye.
Okay. Wow. Well, let me just say I admire you. Really, I respect what you do, and I'm happy you are doing what you do, and that you've been able to just enjoy it as much as you do.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, we really appreciate that you came out here and joined us tonight and answered these guys' questions. So, we're really, hopefully your leg kind of picks up the healing and you get, get back on a bull pretty quick. So we wish you all the best in that. I want to say, again, thank you to American Hat Company and Joey's Hats. Without those guys, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to bring you this kind of information. And this kind of content, the behind the scenes, kind of maybe Dale Brisby and kind of how that stuff works. And Jorden, again, thank you so much for being here. And we will put all of your information, your contact information, your social media information down below. And we just really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing Star. Thank you, Star, for being such a good girl.
Look at her.
She has really kept Connor busy tonight. I mean, I don't even think you said like 10 words tonight.
I've just been sitting here enjoying and listening. Like, I'm just listening. I feel like I'm watching it more than I am participating this time.
There you go. Front row seat. And a dog to pet.
Oh, we almost forgot.
Okay.
You got something for Jorden right there.
I do. Sorry. That was this is something new we're doing. And it's kind of fitting because I wanted to give you a little gift. One of our hats.
Sweet. Love that. It's a pre-curve.
And this is one of our t-shirts. This is an American-made t-shirt printed here in America. And there's an interesting story behind that. We had not done any t-shirts, and this is the first one we did. And actually, Dale was instrumental in helping me get that made.
Really?
Yeah, because I talked to Keith Mundy, and he said, you should really call Dale. So I talked to Dale, and he recommended the place where we got these. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's
pretty cool.
It's kind of a full circle there on that one.
And if you guys want to get one for your own, you can always order them at www.cowboycartelgroup.com/store.
That's right.
That's where you get them.
Yes, absolutely. So again, thank you, Jorden. Thank you, Star. And guys, thanks for being here with us. We really appreciate you spending your Sunday night with us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.